Hey, what's going on YouTube? In today's video, we're going to get into something a little different. I am highly motivated to create something in this era of AI and all the tools that are coming. And one of the things that I've been looking into is building a hacking notebook. Now, the reason why is because I noticed some interest. Now, this is only just a 3,000 views, but this was a video that I had created a few months ago. I created a notebook within Notion that had some usefulness. There was some interest in it, and I was supposed to share it. I never did. And I've been getting into this more and more as far as development goes. And like I said, I want to get into using these tools. So I thought, what better way but to build in public? So what that means is I'm going to kind of try to document this entire process from building this web app and publishing it from step one to eventually, hopefully, getting a sale. Now, I'm not going to be covering every step of throughout this process because I know there's going to be some days that I'm going to get into it and just develop and learn outside of recording windows. But maybe in the future, I will do it step by step to make sure that every point is covered. But I will do my best to make sure that there's coverage so you guys have a good understanding of how I'm doing this and what I'm doing and how I got to the end. So with that being said, here's an example of what I had created yesterday, and I'm going to kind of walk you through the entire process and how I got to this point. So using Replit, I built a simple web app. So far, this is just all sample information, just pretty much playing around with it. And it's called Hacker Notes. The links, it's just one page landing page. So the links at the top do work, and it just brings you to different sections. So here you got your hero, or maybe this is the hero, I don't even know. This would be the header, this would be the hero, I guess. But with that, so again, this is going to be kind of just a web app or a notebook for hackers so they could get in and create their notes. I'm not too much as of lately been into the cybersecurity world, but when I was doing it, I was completing the CTF challenges, trying to do bug bounties, learning as much as I can because there's a lot in that world, and all of that does require taking notes if you want to stay on top of it. So I thought that this would be a good opportunity to not only help others, but also get into more of the development world as I try out these new tools. So this is what this will do. It would essentially just be a notebook with a markdown editor, some organization, some searching, and then this thing is what I'm going after, which I think is going to be pretty cool. My idea behind this is that it will have some pre-built templates for HackTheBox, TryHackMe, and maybe some other things such as vulnerability research and penetration testing reports. Mainly, I want to go after these two. I think would be kind of cool. So within HackTheBox, for those that are not familiar with it, they have different servers or different machines that they spin up and allowing you to attack it. And they have a predefined, well, there's other ways to go around it, but usually they have like a predefined way of vulnerability to get to root access to get that flag. And so I think with some pre-built templates, although this would be the only concern I have about this is that it would take some time on my part. And I'm not trying to complete boxes or learn those boxes at all. But my idea behind this is maybe to at least create the name of these boxes, have a basic, like as you can see here, have a basic layout using Markdown. So like here would be the title, right? Hack the Box Lame. Then you got like the overview. Maybe in there it'll have like, these by default. Maybe the point's not necessary, but like, this stuff is by default. Maybe it'll have a tag associated with it by default, so they could find anything that's related to a Samba vulnerability or Samba vulnerability or, I don't know, Windows Server or Active Directory or something like that. So the tags are already associated with this box. And then maybe we'll go into like steps, and then it'll break down by notes or, by each step with like, all right, here's the Nmap scan for recon, stuff like that. So I haven't figured that part out yet, but that is my idea. And I think that would benefit others that are looking to use this, is they could just get right in instead of having to create a new note. They could kind of find their box that's already labeled. If they have not completed it, it'll maybe identify it if it is completed, and then they can just update that notes with that information. Then if you go down, it kind of just has some basic information built for ethical hackers. Like I said, pretty much everything that's already here at the top. Some of this is not going to be the case. Mobile ready, I'm not sure how far I'm going to go into that, as it really will be optimized for the computer. But maybe we could see how it will look on the mobile device. And then here at the bottom, I'm actually going to try to stick to this because why not? Depending on how much it is going to cost to host it, maybe I might do it for a year to see if it works out. I'm not trying to make millions of dollars off it, but if I'm able to sell it and I'm able to help others, why not? Let's do it for $1 a month, see what happens. So simple, transparent pricing. These are some features that I haven't even looked into to see if any of this is going to be the case, but this is just some examples of it. Start your free trial. Some more stuff. This is something that I'm also thinking about doing, implementing. Maybe to increase this, we could implement some auto backups, or maybe this will just come with it, auto backups. I gotta just, this is something I'm gonna consider later on. Another feature that's going to come with the $1 a month, right, is that I'm going to try to stay on top of the new boxes that get released or release new templates monthly maybe. But again, this demands my time. So if this $1 a month, if I'm not selling, over a certain period of time and it's not benefiting me in any way, then obviously this is not going to work out. But I think it'd be a good project to at least dive into this world, and hopefully I could help out a few others. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get into the actual steps that I did. So we're actually going to do a little bit differently than what I did because I used replit yesterday, something that I'm still interested in. There's a few tools that are out there, one of them being replit, the other one being loveable. Those are the two I think are worth looking into as of today. And then this is something that I also just learned about, which is going to be for UI, and I haven't played around with this yet, but this does seem promising. But now as far as getting spun up with the initial landing page, I used replit yesterday. And as you can see, here's going to be the initial prompts that I had. So with a free package, you'll only get 5 credits, but you will get 10 projects, which is kind of strange how that's how that works, because now with these 5 credits that I had used, which was just me prompting it 5 times, I'm now out of credits, so those 10 projects are now useless to me within this free user. But as you can see, this is just something that I put together yesterday, some basic prompt, which we'll talk about in a minute. Pretty much just asked it for a basic landing page with some basic information into it. And then it immediately went into creating that. It did a plan, got a tech stack, I guess, initial version, which was dope. And it kind of gave you some things that we could talk about later on. Pretty sure, I don't know why this is still here, because we definitely did this, but whatever the case may be. So at this point, after that was done, I said, hey, I love the style and overall look, but I'm not sure I'm a fan of the actual example. So the original example that I had provided for the notepad, it wasn't something I was in love with, so I just asked for some changes, and it did exactly what I wanted. So that's pretty much it. We went on down, and then I just asked for, I would like a section on the landing page showing the notebook in use, which is this, because I got rid of it. And then that brought it up. Now I want a simple pricing section that highlights the fact that this application is only $1 a month, which we just talked about. And lastly, which was my last credit, I think, maybe I have a few more. Let's add a footer, basic footer with the link. Okay, so I added a footer at the bottom of it. The colors weren't really the greatest, so I asked for the colors to be changed. And that's where I'm at now. So now I had this color to match the header, and then I have black and white to kind of sit in between those two. I kind of like this color scheme, so I'm going to probably keep this as best I can. And I forgot to show the main part. So actually, after doing all that, I which I'll talk about in a minute, I took it over to Cursor, so I exported it, and it didn't work 100%. It still doesn't work 100%, obviously, but it had the UI down. So I exported this project and I brought it over to Cursor, which you get about, I think, 250 credits or prompts. I can't remember what, but within Cursor. And Cursor, if you don't know, you should definitely learn about. Just another tool in the toolbox allowing you to, create these projects. Essentially, it's an IDE, like similar to Visual Studio Code, but you have an AI agent, Cursor, which is pretty much optimized for coding. And so here is the actual notebook, and yesterday when I was playing around with it, I actually got it to work with using Cursor. So like if I go in here and I create a blank note, this is the editor, and then we have some markdown. So here's obviously the bowling title, and then we can name a title here. And then if we save it, we're going to see that we have hacker test 1 here. So if we go down here at the bottom and we change it, go to new note, go back up to hacker test 1, you can see that we could pull it right up. And then if we go into the preview tab, you can see that we have that new note, which is that markdown, and the other note that I had put in there. Tags aren't working yet, although it does work. I don't see how it correlates with anything over here. But that is something obviously that we would have to work on. So it is pretty cool that we were able to get there. I got there within like an hour, and I have a working notebook hosted on my machine. And I think I'm actually, so as I'm recording this video, I think we're gonna kind of change it up. So I'm probably gonna end this video in just a minute, and I will cover in next week's video, I will actually go from start, and we'll kind of start over on this project maybe, since I'm not too far into it. And we'll start with Loveable, considering that we have a few more credits. So you get 5, it seems 5 daily credits. And I'm gonna honestly probably subscribe to either Replit or Loveable. But I figured for like an introductory video, and honestly, I think with this now as it stands, I think I could get away with not subscribing to Replit. So I might use this project. But in the next video, we'll cover the first step on how I got here, just pretty much prompting it to get there, to get a web application and then bring it over to Cursor. So I think that's what we'll do next week. In the following video, we will cover it using Loveable, and we'll try to get a similar web app, because I think we do have the ability to export it, and we'll do the same thing. We'll bring it over to Cursor. Maybe in that video or the video after that is another thing that we're going to cover, which is very important, is we're going to be using version control. We're going to use GitLab for a number of reasons. One being that with version control, if we ever make a mistake, we go ahead and revert it to the previous commit, allowing us to, kind of get dirty with Cursor and AI, let it make its changes. If it messes anything up, we could get back. We have something to some form of control in terms of if any mistakes are made or if anything gets changed and we want to go back to the original version of it. The other reason being is that eventually, if we ever get to the point of pushing this to some form of production, or I'm actually trying to sell it or, put it to the public, I think within GitLab and having some form of pipeline, a CI/CD pipeline, I don't need it to be crazy, but enough to where I can do maybe some linting, some checks, some vulnerability checks using the SaaS or something like that, or just an open source static analyzer. We could also look into setting up a template or a pipeline to do some internal testing before it gets pushed up. So that will be important. Maybe we'll do a manual job or some form of job where it spins up the environment, and then we could do some tests, and then it'll only get pushed to prod in a sense if the test is passed. Maybe run some unit tests, make sure that it has everything good to go. Backend test to make sure that's integrating with the backend. The possibilities are unlimited. I'm not going to claim that I'm an expert in any of this. It's something that I'm going to be learning, which I think is also another benefit for those that are interested in this topic. Because if you go to a few others like Starter Story on YouTube, which is a big one that I follow, and others that are kind of doing this vibe coding type thing, which is like coding with AI, most of those videos and channels are already pretty large, so they have a big viewing or big viewer base, giving them kind of that edge and that advantage to get these applications out there and making some money off them. I think it would be kind of interesting for us to, for you and myself to see how this would go without that large audience. I only have 1,000 subscribers or 1,500 subscribers, and of that we only have a returning percentage of less than 10%, I think. I'd have to look into the statistics again or the analytics. So I think that is something to keep in mind, as I think that would be a selling point to stay in tune with this playlist that I'm going to be creating. But I think that's going to close out today's video. So quickly, I went over the web app, that we had created yesterday using replit. I just kind of went over the basic understanding, a high level overview of what I did. And in next week's video, like I said, I'm going to use that same mentality and we're going to bring it over to Loveable. And we're going to kind of prompt it the same way and try to get a similar application. And we're going to do it from step 1. And then we're going to kind of bring that over to Cursor, integrate GitLab for the things that I had mentioned earlier, and then just go from there. So if that's something that you are interested in, definitely, follow along. I'm going to create a playlist. So subscribe, drop a like. If you have any ideas, drop a comment. And as always, never stop learning.